it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today is part 4 of my October book outlet haul, so stay tuned. Oh my goodness, so I'm down to the last 3 boxes of this haul. This has been insane. I've got so many books stacked up everywhere, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna need a new shelf for sure. Alright, let's get into the last 3 boxes. I have 1 big one and 2 smaller ones. It's gonna be a lot of books. So let's go. We'll start with the big one first. Okay, got my receipt on top here. Oh yeah, there's a lot of books in this box. Paper. Paper. And paper. The rest is books. Okay, the first 2 books in this box, we have 1,000 Pieces of You and 10,000 Skies Above You by Claudia Gray. I got the very floppy paperback in this one and hardback in this one because that's just what they had. But this is fun. Floppy, floppy. Okay. So this is about a girl named Marguerite Kane who has grown up her whole life with being around cutting edge technology. And then one day her mother invents this thing called the Firebird, which allows you to travel between different dimensions, like alternate dimensions. So when Marguerite's father is murdered by a fellow student named Paul, he uses the Firebird and jumps into a different dimension, thinking that he's gotten away with murder. And he wasn't really planning on Marguerite, who takes it upon herself to, with the help of another fellow student, go following him from dimension to dimension, searching for him to bring him back and have him pay for what he's done. And that's what these are about. So this one was $2.71 and this one was $5. Okay, next up is Prisoner of Night and Fog by Anne Blankman. And this is about a girl named Gretchen who is the niece of Adolf Hitler. So this says, in 1930s Munich, danger lurks behind dark corners and secrets are buried deep within the city. But Gretchen Mueller, who grew up in the National Socialist Party under the wing of her uncle Dolph, has been shielded from that side of society ever since her father traded his life for Dolph's, and Gretchen is his favorite, his pet. Uncle Dolph is none other than Adolf Hitler, and Gretchen follows his every command, until she meets a fearless and handsome young Jewish reporter named Daniel Cohen, who claims that her father, the adored Nazi martyr, was actually murdered by an unknown comrade. She should despise Daniel, yet she can't stop herself from listening to his story. She also can't resist the attraction between them, despite everything she's been taught to believe. As Gretchen investigates the very people she's always considered friends, she must decide where her loyalties lie. Will she choose the safety of her former life as a Nazi darling, or will she dare to dig up the truth, even if it could get her and Daniel killed? And this was $2.71. I think there was actually a sale going on at this particular time where there was a certain percentage off of everything. And that's why the price amounts are a little odd, because they're not what they're normally priced at. Okay, next up is The Death Code by Lindsay Cummings. And this is the 2nd book in the Murder Complex series. And this is interesting. It's like a barcode on the edge of the page. It looks like that. I think that's cool. But the Murder Complex very much gives me kind of Scythe vibes, where the population is very strictly regulated and, well, the murder rate is higher than the birth rate in this world, where they want to keep the population down, and that is what this series is about, from what I can tell. And this was $2.71 as well. Okay, next up we have Salt to the Sea by Rupta Sapayas. Sapatheus. And this says, Winter 1945. 4 teenagers, 4 secrets. Each one born of a different homeland. Each one hunted and haunted by tragedy, lies, and war. As thousands of desperate refugees flock to the coast in the midst of a Soviet advance, 4 paths converge, vying for passage aboard the Wilhelm Gustloff, a ship that promises safety and freedom. Yet not all promises can be kept. Inspired by the single greatest tragedy in maritime history, best-selling and award-winning author Rupta Sapayas lifts a veil on a shocking, little-known casualty of World War II, an illuminating and life-affirming tale of heart and hope. And I've heard this was really, really, really good. And this was $7.30. Okay, next up we have Spindle by E.K. Johnson. Isn't this pretty? I love this cover. Anyway, this is the second book in the 1,000 Nights series, and I actually pulled that off my shelf so you can see it. It looks like this. And this is about a girl who lives in this village ruled by a tyrant. And he has killed 300 girls before coming to her village. And he always wants the loveliest of all of the girls. Our main character here, she knows that her sister would be the one chosen, so she has to ensure that it's not her sister that's chosen, it's her instead. So she ends up being the one chosen and taken back to the castle for all of the beauty and everything that's there. She's seeing it all for what she expects to be the first and last time. But night after night, this tyrant of a ruler comes to her and listens to her tell these stories. And day after day, she wakes up and gets to live another day. And as she's telling these stories, she's becoming more powerful, she's finding. And she's finding that this ruler, he wasn't always this way and something went wrong. And maybe she can fix him. And this was $5.43. Next up we have Born of Illusion by Terry Brown. And this says, Anna von Hixson has a secret. A gifted illusionist, Anna assists her mother, renowned medium Marguerite van Hixson, in her stage show and seances, easily navigating the underground world of magicians, mediums, and mentalists in 1920s New York. As the illegitimate daughter of Harry Houdini, or so Marguerite claims, sleight of hand illusions have never been a challenge for Anna. The real trick is keeping her true gifts secret from her opportunistic mother. Because while Marguerite's own powers may be a sham, Anna actually can sense people's feelings and foretell the future. But as Anna's powers intensify, she experiences frightening visions that lead her to explore the abilities she's tried so long to hide. And when a mysterious young man moves into the flat downstairs, introducing Anna to a society that studies people with gifts like hers, she begins to wonder if there's more to life than keeping secrets. From Terry Brown comes a world bursting with magic, with romance, with jazz-age temptations, and the story of a girl about to become mistress of her own destiny. And it sounds great. Also, I saw a blurb on here that says, will appeal to fans of Libba Bray, and I really enjoyed her Jim Doyle series, so I'm looking forward to reading this. And this was $3.22. Okay, next I have several different books from one particular series. So, actually it's 2 series, but one's just a spin-off of the other. So I have Taken at Dusk and Whispers at Moonrise. Shadow Falls: The Next Chapter by C.C. Hunter. And this is books 3 and 4 in the Shadow Falls series. And then I got Chosen at Nightfall, which is book 5 of that series. And then I got Unspoken, which is book 3, I believe, of the spin-off, which is Shadow Falls After Dark. But really, it's just a continuation, I think, of the whole thing. And then book 4 of the After Dark Shadow Falls is Midnight Hour by C.C. Hunter. And these are all about pretty much like a summer camp for supernaturals. So you've got vampires and werewolves and fae and all of that kind of in this camp, learning how to handle their abilities or things like that. And it just sounded like something I would really enjoy. So I'm working on collecting them all so I can read them all at once at some point. So the next chapter, which contains Taken at Dusk and Whispers at Moonrise, was $271. Chosen at Nightfall was $364. Unspoken was $271. And Midnight Hour was $322. Okay, next up is Lady Renegades, a Rebel Belle novel by Rachel Hawkins. And that's just so cute. So I actually had Rebel Belle on my shelf. I pulled it down. It's right here. So Lady Renegades is the 3rd book in this series. I currently don't have the 2nd book, but I plan on ordering it from Thrift Books soon. Anyway, let me tell you about Rebel Belle. This says, Harper Price, peerless Southern belle, was born ready for a homecoming tiara. But after a strange run-in at the dance, Harper's destiny takes a turn for the seriously weird. She's imbued with powers of a paladin, a guardian with agility, super strength, and lethal fighting instincts. Just when life can't get any more disastrously crazy, Harper finds out who she's charged to protect. David Stark, school reporter, subject of a mysterious prophecy, and possibly Harper's least favorite person. Things get complicated when Harper starts falling for him and discovers that David's own fate could very well be to destroy Earth. And it just sounded super cute. So Lady Renegades was $7.30. Okay, next up is The Complete Unwind Dystology by Neil Shusterman. So in here we have Unwind, Unholy, Unsold, and Undivided. And this is a world where abortion is not an option. From the moment of conception until the age of 13, a child cannot be harmed. But once they reach the age of 13, there's a loophole that allows parents to get rid of their teenagers through a process called unwinding. And this is about a couple of kids that are meant to be unwound. There's like a ward of estate, one whose parents never wanted them in the first place, and others, I believe. And, well, they're trying to escape being unwound. And that is what these are all about. And it sounded really, really interesting. And this whole set was $13.59. Okay, next up is Golden, which is the 3rd book in the Heart of Dread series by Melissa De La Cruz and Michael Johnston. And this cover, I don't know how well you can tell it, but it's got this really cool like holographic kind of thing in here, and it's so pretty. So I actually already own the first 2 books in this series, so I'm looking forward to actually reading these because they're not like super long. They're just like, this one's 259 pages. The first book is called Frozen, and it's based in New Vegas, which is pretty much Las Vegas, but it's covered in ice. And it follows our main character, Natasha Kestel, who is a blackjack dealer, but she really doesn't want to be in New Vegas anymore. She wants to go to this place that she's only ever heard about called the Blue, where the sun still shines and the water is turquoise, but getting there is really not an easy thing to do. And that is what the first book's about. That's all I know. And Golden was $5. Okay, next up is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm working on collecting all of these because I've heard nothing but good things about this Throne of Glass series. and A Court of Thorns and Roses, both. So I've heard, I want to collect all of them because I've heard great things about both of them. This is a heavy book. There's like over 700 pages in this book. It's a beast. Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that. So because this is like the 5th book in the series, I pulled up on Goodreads what it says for the first book, which is Throne of Glass. This says, after serving out a year of hard labor in the salt mines of Endovier for her crimes, 18-year-old assassin Selena Sardothian is dragged before the Crown Prince. Prince Dorian offers her her freedom on one condition. She must act as his champion in a competition to find a new royal assassin. Her opponents are men, thieves and assassins and warriors from across the empire, each sponsored by a member of the King's Council. If she beats her opponents in a series of eliminations, she'll serve the kingdom for 4 years and then be granted her freedom. Selenia finds her training sessions with the captain of the guard, Westfall, challenging and exhilarating, but she's bored stiff by court life. Things get a little more interesting when the prince starts to show interest in her, but it's the gruff Captain Westfall who seems to understand her best. Then one of the other contestants turns up dead, quickly followed by another. Can Selenia figure out who the killer is before she becomes a victim? As the young assassin investigates, her search leads her to discover a greater destiny than she could have possibly ever imagined. And my arm's getting tired of holding this book up. And this was $5.43. Okay, next up is Frost Like Night by Sarah Roche. And this is the 3rd book in the Snow Like Ashes series. And if you want to know about that book, you can check out my September book haul where I hauled that book in it. And this was $5.43. Okay, then the last book in this box is The Stranger Game by Silen Busby. And this is about a girl named Nico and her sister Sarah. Sarah goes missing and everybody is so upset over Sarah being gone and everybody thinks Sarah's great. And Nico, she won't admit it, but she's kind of glad because her sister has tormented her whole life. So when 4 years later Sarah is found, Nico is a little less than thrilled. But turns out that Sarah has retrograde amnesia and doesn't remember anything about the past 4 years. But she also doesn't really remember anything about herself because she's like a completely different person. Whereas she was this competitive person before, she's not at all now. Where she was mean before, she's nice now. Where she was pretty and athletic before, she's like quiet and thin and sickly looking now. And despite the happy ending, Nico is still haunted by that day and the secrets surrounding it. And this was $5.43. So the total for all 20 of these books was $83.54. This is probably my most expensive order. I ordered several of them because of whatever discount was going on at the time and I didn't have rewards to use. So 20 books for $83.54. Okay, so that's all that was in that box. Now to move on to box number 2. Okay, here we go. Got my receipt here. Paper. Paper. And paper. Oh, and now I need to change my battery. Okay, so the first book in this box is Carpe Diem by Autumn Cornwell. And this is about a girl named Vassar Spore, who is 16 years old and an overachiever who has her entire life planned out until a world-traveling relative shows up and blackmails her parents into forcing them to send their only child to backpack with them through Southeast Asia. And well, her life will never be the same after that. And this was $4.29. Okay, next up is 3 books from a series. I actually already own the first book, which I pulled off my shelf. But this is for the Huckeby series. So I have book 2, which is Beastly Bones. Book 3, which is Ghostly Echoes. And book 4, which is The Dire King. And these are by William Ritter. And Xander had to read Huckeby for school before, and he really enjoyed it. It was sort of had like a Sherlock Holmes kind of feel to it. So here is Huckeby, and I'll just read you what this says. Newly arrived in New Fiddleham, New England, 1892, and in need of a job, Abigail Rook meets R.F. Huckeby, an investigator of the unexplained with a keen eye for the extraordinary, including the ability to see supernatural beings. Abigail has a gift for noticing ordinary but important details, which makes her perfect for the position of Huckeby's assistant. On her first day, Abigail finds herself in the midst of a thrilling case. A serial killer is on the loose. The police are convinced it's an ordinary villain, but Huckeby is certain the foul deeds are the work of the kind of creature whose very existence the local authorities, with the exception of a handsome young detective named Charlie Kane, seem adamant to deny. So it's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes with a supernatural twist. Beastly Bones was $3.19. Ghostly Echoes was $3.19. And The Dire King was $6.39. Okay, next up is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And I learned about this book from Allie over at Hardback Hoarders. She loves this book and talks about it often. And, well, I just had to check it out because she raves about it all the time. And this is about a group of young Shakespearean actors where the competition, well, gets deadly. And this was $5.39. Next is Shadow Song by S.J. Jones. And this is the second book in the Winter Song series. And I pulled Winter Song off my shelf. It's right here, so I could tell you about it. So this says, the last night of the year, now the days of winter begin, and the Goblin King rides abroad, searching for his bride. All her life, Liesl has heard tales of the beautiful, dangerous Goblin King. They've enraptured her mind and spirit and inspired her musical compositions. Now 18 and helping to run her family's inn, Liesl can't help but feel that her musical dreams and childhood fantasies are slipping away. But when her own sister is taken by the Goblin King, Liesl has no choice but to journey to the underground to save her. Drawn to the strange, captivating world she finds and the mysterious man who rules it, she soon faces an impossible decision. With time and the old laws working against her, Liesl must discover who she truly is before her fate is sealed. Dark, romantic, and powerful, Winter Song will sweep you away into a world you won't soon forget. And I actually got this one signed last year at Y'all Fest, so that's really cool. And I just think this cover is absolutely stunning. Oh. And Shadow Song was $7.49. Okay, next up we have Falling Under by Gwen Hayes. And this is about a girl named Thea who isn't allowed all of the freedoms that normal teenagers where she lives are allowed. Until one day when this devastatingly handsome new boy arrives in her school, and well, she's ready to throw all the rules out the window because she is uncontrollably drawn to this boy because she feels like she knows him, and it's because they've met in a eerie fantasy world that she has in her dreams, and night after night she's met him, and now he's at her school and she's drawn to him in both the real world and her dream world, and he's pushing her away and he's pulling her to him, and well, it just sounded really interesting. And this was $3.19. Next up we have Wonderlost by Jen Malone. And this says, not all those who wander are lost, but she might be. Aubrey Sadler can't think of a better place to be than in perfectly boring Ohio. And she's ready for a relaxing summer. But when her older sister Elizabeth gets into real trouble, Aubrey's talked into taking over Elizabeth's summer job, leading a group of senior citizens on a bus tour through Europe. Never mind that Aubrey has never left the country, or that the tour company still thinks they're getting exceptional Elizabeth and not train-wreck Bree. Aubrey doesn't even make it to the first stop in Amsterdam before their perfect plan unravels, leaving her with no phone, no carefully prepared binder full of helpful facts, and an unexpected guest, the tour company's owner's son, Sam. Considering she's pretending to be Elizabeth, she absolutely shouldn't fall for him, but she can't help it. Especially when the most romantic European cities as the backdrop for their love story. But her relationship with Sam is threatening to ruin her relationship with her sister, and she feels like she's letting both of them down. Aubrey knows this trip may show her who she really is. She just hopes she likes where she ends up. And it sounded really cute, and I love the whole European travel aspect of it. And this was $3.79. Okay, so the last book in this box is an anthology, and it's Summer Days and Summer Nights, 12 Love Stories, edited by Stephanie Perkins. And this reminds me a lot of the Christmassy one My True Love Gave to Me. And, well, it's 12 Love Stories, written by Leigh Bardugo, Frances Leah Block, Libba Bray, Cassandra Clare, Brandy Colbert, Tim Federle, Lev Grossman, Nina LaCour, Stephanie Perkins, Veronica Roth, John Sacravon, and Jennifer E. Smith. And this was $3.19. So the subtotal for this box was $40.11. I had a $5 off coupon, which brought me down to $35.11. And then I had $20 in rewards. So I got all 9 of these books for $15.11. Alright, that box is done. Only one more box to go. And then I will have gotten through all 12 boxes. Okay, here we go. Paper. And that's all the paper. Got my receipt here. Every once in a while, I'll accidentally order the same book multiple times. Yeah, that totally happened. So the first book I see here, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Well, you just saw me talk about it because it was in the last box. So I guess I'll be unhauling this one or putting it in a giveaway. I don't know. But that's pretty funny. Kind of want to kick myself when I do this. Okay, so the next book in this box is actually a coloring book, and it is Colortronic, a kaleidoscopic coloring challenge. And this is different from the regular adult coloring books, as this one is like a color by number. So they're all very lightly numbered. And I mean, I suppose you don't have to do the colors that they say, but there's your little color chart, and it shows you what color each number is. And yeah, I thought it was cool. And this was $3.19. Next up is a duology by Sarah Shepard, and that is The Perfectionist and The Good Girls. And The Perfectionist is the first book. So this is about a group of 5 girls who have had terrible things done to them by this rich, overprivileged boy named Nolan. And they decide they want to get together, and they planned the perfect murder. Hypothetically speaking, of course, because they didn't actually plan on killing him. They just really wanted to. Until one morning they wake up and he's been murdered. Exactly as they had planned. Except they didn't do it. But they are the prime suspects in the murder now. And it's up to them to figure out who did it and clear their names. Now this is by the author of Pretty Little Liars, and this very much has a Pretty Little Liars feel to it to me. The Perfectionist was $2.69. The Good Girls was $3.19. Next up is a book I got for Xander, and that's called the What's Happening to My Body Book for Boys by Linda Medeiros. And well, it says it's a growing up guide for preteens and teens, and it tells them really all about their changing body shape and size and diet and exercise and growth spurt and reproductive organs and body hair and voice changes and all kinds of stuff. And well, I thought this might be a good thing for him. And this was $3.79. Another book that I got for Xander is Who is Stan Lee? And well, he has a whole bunch of these Who Is books or What Is books, and well, I thought he'd really enjoy this because it's Stan Lee and comic books and superheroes and all of that. So I thought he'd enjoy this one. And this was $2.69. And continuing with books for Xander, I also got him Black Widow Forever Read by Margaret Stoll. I actually had already purchased Red Vengeance for him, which is the sequel to this, and I didn't realize that it was a sequel when I bought it. So this is the first book in that series. This says, "Then her eyes closed, and the fire and the chaos and the death and the noise disappeared, just like the red-haired woman." Natasha Romanoff is one of the world's most lethal assassins. Trained from a young age in the arts of death and deception, Natasha was given the title of Black Widow by Ivan Somodorov, her brutal teacher at the Red Room, Moscow's infamous academy for operatives. Ava Orlova is just trying to fit in as an average Brooklyn teenager, but her life has been anything but average. The daughter of a missing Russian quantum physicist, Ava was once subjected to a series of ruthless military experiments until she was rescued by Black Widow and placed under shield protection. Ava has always longed to reconnect with her mysterious savior, but Black Widow isn't really the big sister type. Until now. When children all over Eastern Europe begin to go missing, and rumors of smuggled Red Room tech light up the dark net, Natasha suspects her old teacher has returned, and that Ava Orlova might be the only one who can stop him. To defeat the madman who threatens their future, Natasha and Ava must unravel their pasts. Only then will they discover the truth about the dark-eyed boy with an hourglass tattoo that haunts Ava's dreams. And this was $2.19. Okay, next up is All the Rage by Courtney Summers. And this is about a girl named Romy Gray who was attacked by Kellen Turner, who is the town's golden boy and the sheriff's son. Instead of believing the things that she says, she's branded as a liar and shunned and bullied to no end, to the point that she just stopped saying anything. And the only place she seems to have any kind of refuge is this diner that she works at on the outskirts of town, where nobody really knows her or knows anything about her, and she can be anonymous again. Until she learns that another girl has been attacked in a nearby town by him, and another girl's gone missing, and she has to decide if she wants to try to speak up about him again or just keep quiet, because she doesn't know if anybody will believe her since they didn't believe her the first time. But if she keeps quiet, it may be more than she can bear. and this was $3.19. Okay, next up is Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day by Seanan McGuire. And I really loved the Every Heart a Doorway series and just wanted to read more by Seanan McGuire. And this is a really short book. It's only 182 pages. And it's about a girl named Jenna who blamed herself when her sister Patty died. And well, she blamed herself when she died. And turns out that everybody has a certain amount of time, whether dead or alive. Every soul has a certain amount of time. So Jenna apparently still had a lot of time remaining. She died too soon. So instead of just stealing somebody else's time from them, she decides to volunteer at a suicide hotline while she's leeching this time. Just try to do as much good as she can. But something has come for the ghosts of New York, and Jenna is the only thing that's standing in its way. And this was $4.79. Okay, next up is All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker. And this says, it begins in the small affluent town of Fairview, Connecticut, where everything seems picture perfect. Until one night when young Ginny Kramer is attacked at a local party. In the hours immediately thereafter, she's given a controversial drug to medically erase her memory of the violent assault. But in the weeks and months that follow, as she heals from her physical wounds, and with no factual recall of the attack, Ginny struggles with her raging emotional memory. Her father Tom becomes obsessed with his inability to find her attacker and seek justice, while her mother Charlotte struggles to pretend that this horrific event has not touched her carefully constructed world. As Tom and Charlotte seek help for their daughter, the fault lines within their marriage and their close-knit community emerge from the shadows, where they have been hidden for years, and the relentless quest to find the monster who invaded their town, or perhaps lives among them, drives this psychological thriller to a shocking and unexpected conclusion. And this was $2.69. So the last book in not just this box, in not just this part of the haul video, but in this entire 12 box haul series is Second Life by S.J. Watson. And this is a psychological thriller about a woman leading two lives, and it kind of threatens to destroy her. And that's really all I know about this. And it doesn't say much more than that on the inside or on Goodreads, so I can't really tell you anything else about it, but I think it'll be a fun read. And this was $1.29. So to break down the cost of this box, the subtotal was $35.09, and I used $20 in rewards, so I only had to pay $15.09 for all 11 of these books. Not so bad. And that is the end of this haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this whole series. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, well, not a 4-part series again, hit that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!